Hey, honey.
Yes, Barry?
Let's get out of here.
Where are we going?
Where do we always go?
Fascina el viento, este ritmo de palmas, sin ti naturaleza, hasta encontrar la playa. Por eso grito al mundo, yo soy de Puerto Vallarta. Samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar. Samba de
Hello,
Puerto
fellow travelers, and welcome to this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. I'm your host, Barry Kessler, and I'm just so happy to be introducing you to my favorite vacation destination, maybe even yours, and that's Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. The music you're listening to is performed by Alberto Perez. Alberto is the owner of the Lapa Lapa group of restaurants here. Those are the Le Bistro Jazz Cafe. It's Riverside on the Isla Cuale, and the Lapa Lapa, Puerto Vallarta's oldest restaurant on the famous Los Muertos beach. And then, of course, there's the El Dorado restaurant and beach club right next door. So you can enjoy that fantastic view of the Los Muertos pier, all lit up at night, beautiful colors, or during the day in its grand splendor. For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, seated with your toes in the sand, right at the water's edge, or riverside at Le Bistro. It's so romantic. It's so Puerto Vallarta, my friends. This week, we're meeting a couple of people who make a living teasing your palates. That's right. Stephen Castrianni. He is the owner of Vallarta Eats Food Tours. He's going to be sharing his story as well as giving us a rundown on the type of food tours that they give over there at Vallarta Eats. It's not all tacos, my friends. I also have an old friend of the show, Edgar Rivas. You must know him if you listen to my podcast. He's back with us to talk about his newest venture, his own tequila tasting venture, and he calls it Alma de Agave Premium Tequila Tasting Experience. He's joined forces with another one of my favorite chefs in town, Chef Julio from Gaby's Bar and Restaurant. He's going to be having his classes in tequila and mezcal and raicilla. If it has to do with agave, he's going to be talking about it. It's up on the roof of Gaby's, where Chef Julio gives his daytime cooking classes. It's really cool. We have Vallarta news and more. Let's go see what's happening this week. It's the 12th day of July, 2026. Very sad news for a 28-year-old man from Mexico City and his family. Apparently, he was taking photos at the water's edge with his girlfriend when a crocodile attacked him, dragged him out to sea, and killed him. This occurred on June 26, about 2 weeks ago, and it was on the beach that's in front of the Marriott Resort and Hotel. It happened around 6:30 in the afternoon. Here is a report from Channel 6 ABC Action News, Philadelphia. Take it away.
Deadly crocodile attack at a popular vacation destination in Mexico. A 28-year-old man losing his life after being dragged out to sea at a beach. Victor Oquendo has that story for us. Good morning to you, Victor.
Good morning, Robin. Just a horrific scene. We spoke with a couple that heard this man scream. They rushed to help, but say it was too late. This morning, we're hearing the terrifying first-hand accounts of a deadly crocodile attack during the middle of a vacation paradise.
This truly was the most horrific thing I've ever seen. We heard screaming from the ocean. We thought someone was stuck in a rip current. And it wasn't until we got in the water that someone told us there were crocodiles and that a croc had him.
It happened Friday afternoon near the Marriott Puerto Vallarta Resort and Spa in Mexico. Local officials say a 28-year-old man was on the beach when this crocodile dragged him to sea.
At one point, you could see the crocodile around his thigh, and when he would turn, you could see how massive the crocodile was and how big his body and his tail was.
Jamie Yetter and Chris Burry racing to help before the man disappeared.
The water was very murky. Like when you're in it up to your knees, you can't see your feet. And the man was in the water at that point, struggling. But there was nothing really on the beach to help him. What we did have from the pool was a life preserver. So threw that to him. But he was in shock.
The resort is located near a river and estuaries where the reptiles are known to be spotted and where the victim was later found dead. This sign is posted on the beach, but the California couple says the hotel did not warn them of the potential risk of crocodiles in the area.
This isn't a nature issue, right? Nature is going to do what it's going to do.
Experts say that an attack like this is rare. We just heard from Marriott saying in a statement, in part, safety and security of their guests is their top priority. They have appropriate signage as well as night patrolling and red flags to indicate caution in the area. Their thoughts are with this individual and their family. George?
Yeah, we all share that. Okay, Victor, thanks very much.
All right, thanks very much to Channel 6 ABC Action News in Philadelphia for that report. I posted a YouTube video of that news report. It's in the show notes. That must have been very horrific to watch for that California couple. And, well, that poor young man, wow. Just hard to imagine being dragged out to sea by this huge, huge crocodile. Turning to the Google, the North American crocodile boasts a streamlined appearance. Males can grow up to 13 to 15 feet in length, and they weigh well over 1,000 pounds, though most average about 9 to 13 feet. Females are generally smaller. They are apex predators that feed predominantly on fish, crabs, bird, and small mammals. With the narrower snouts, they're perfectly designed for aquatic hunting. So this is a huge and, well, I'd say a pretty potentially dangerous animal, wouldn't you? You can actually view them safely behind chain link fences. There's a road that takes you to Boca de Tomates. And actually, if you are on the beach there at Boca de Tomates, you can walk about a half a mile from the beach to this crocodile viewing area. Locals will actually sell you chicken so that you can toss it over the fence to the crocodiles there. That's how they attract, all of them to the viewing area. And it's amazing to see these creatures up close. You don't have to buy the chicken. I'm just telling you that this is how they attract them over to this area. Now, this time of year, that road over there, it gets really muddy. It gets swampy because it rains almost every day right now. And the mosquitoes there, they are numerous and they are hungry and they're as big as helicopters. So they're a little slow, but there's a bunch of them there. You don't want to be there. So my advice would be to stay in your car during the wet season on your way to Boca de Tomates if you're heading out to the Ramadas. Or if you want to take a little peek of them, just, you can jump out real quick, take a little look. They are there. And I got pictures of them in the show notes at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com for this particular episode. Unfortunately, this incident is just more bad news for Puerto Vallarta. Tourism here, it's taken a big hit lately. They had that cartel unrest on the 22nd of February this year. That was in response to the killing of El Mencho, the New Generation Jalisco group leader. Now, in the newscast that we just listened to, the couple mentioned that there was hardly any signage indicating that you should be aware that there may be crocodiles in the water. And especially on that beach, warning vacationers to watch out for them, which I find really hard to believe because there's about one of these incidents happening every year now since at least I've been keeping track. And I think they've been keeping track of this for about 50 years. And that's kind of the numbers that they have. Every once in a while, you'll hear about some poor fishing guy, fisherman alongside the Ameca, and he stepped in the wrong spot, and then he gets dragged in the river. And there's a lot of signs on the Ameca that are warning about the fact that this is a crocodile habitat. They tell you not to fish there, but they do anyway. If you go over the Ameca Bridge, you'll see the signs. They're right there. But most of the attacks that I've reported on over the years happen at night. They happen at dusk when someone decides to go take an evening swim or stroll on the beach. You would think that they would have warning placards in bathrooms in each and every hotel room, like the ones that they have asking you to save water by reusing your towels again. They're a little lazy. They don't want to do that. So they ask you to be, careful with the water. And you should, by all means, but they really should have like a little placard with a picture of a crocodile warning about the dangers of getting beachy at night. It could be just that simple, really, to have warnings to watch out for prehistoric reptiles when you're strolling on their beach, and stay out of the water at night, and warn about not approaching the beast. But no, evidently nada. I would say definitely try not to take a selfie with the creature. Some are saying that the young man was getting a little too close with his camera, but be forewarned, right? I mean, take a look, you TikToker, you. So the government has actually taken notice here in Puerto Vallarta. They put together a team to try to figure out what to do about the crocodiles. The crocodiles have been here before us since, a long time. But as I've said in the past, the crocodiles have actually been forced out of their natural habitat in some cases. And along the Ameca River, for example, the Ameca is the river that delineates the state line. It's the line between Jalisco and Nuevo Vallarta, which is in the state of Nayarit. Vidanta World, which is a massive employer in the area, is building this Mexican version of Disneylandia there, right there on the edge of the Ameca, which included cutting into the river and thereby displacing quite a few crocodiles many years ago. And, well, so there's one reason. Of course, crocodiles, they usually stick to the estuary, the Salado, and there are fences and there's barriers that have been put up to try to keep them, put. But they're big. They do as they please. They use the beaches and they use the ocean to move from one place to another. And from time to time, well, they're mostly looking for food, but during the rainy season, they're more frequently spotted, on a road or, on beaches at the mouths of rivers, rivers as far south as the Rio Quale. And we've seen a few of them, as a matter of fact, right there at the mouth of the Quale. And I've got pictures of those in the show notes. You can take a look at that. On any day of the week, you will most likely find at least one or two somewhere on a golf course. So play through. And of course, in the marina, they got a regular or two as well. And they've named a few of them too. So I don't know. Can you imagine being the guy that's cleaning the bottom of boats there at the Marina Vallarta? I mean, what kind of hazard pay does he get for dealing with that? They do have warning signs at the marina, and they warn you to keep your dogs and your small children actually away from the water's edge there. So you can even, believe it or not, you can find YouTube videos of doggies who were permitted by the owner to get just a little too close to the edge, and then they ended up being carried away by one of those resident crocodiles. It is not for the weak to take a look at. So don't look at them. It's very sad to watch. Look, I'm getting all choked up. Anyway, the Marriott, actually, and the hotels and, the resorts around it are very close to the estuary, very close to the mouth of the Ameca. And as a result, they are much more apt to these big lizard sightings. It's not like the place that's crawling with them, but there's an occasional stray, okay? And so what should you do? I mean, should you be really scared to come to Puerto Vallarta? No, of course not. Of course not. I've always said, actually, stay out of the water at night. Don't walk on the beach at night. And that's just common sense. And it's not just because, I'm talking about crocodiles here. We're talking about bad guys. There's bad guys too at night. So, and not a lot of those either, okay? It's not common, but it happens. So almost, I almost never go, shouldn't say I never do, because every once in a while I'll get my feet wet. But I almost never, go in the water in town here at the beaches. I have a pool. I have a pool to swim in and to lounge by. And if you're staying at a place with a pool, I suggest you use it if you want to swim, okay? So, and I seldom go in the ocean down here unless I am swimming at a southern beach. And I will do that. If I'm on a panga with some friends and stuff like that, I will take my snorkeling gear or I'll just jump in, and that's just fine with me. The water's usually clean down there. It's clear crocs, and they just never go that far south. I never seen them that far south. Look out for a purple flag that's being flown on the beach. For some reason, we're supposed to understand that a purple flag is a warning for crocodiles, right? Um, maybe purple for Barney. Maybe, like I've said this before, I'm thinking a purple dinosaur, Barney. And you'd think that a green flag would be better, but, a green flag might be interpreted as, go. Green for go, right? So I say, why not put a picture of a green crocodile on a purple flag? And we'll have a rendering of Wally Gator on that purple flag. Wally Gator, is the meanest alligator in the swamp. So that would scare everybody out. But no emails, please. We're talking about crocodiles. I know. But, wouldn't that make more sense, though? What you should know is that you should stay out of the water where the beaches are near the estuary. That's like in Boca de Tomates, where they have turtle releases, the Ramadas on the north side of the Vallarta runway. Now, this area is very popular with the big lizards, especially at night. And on the other side of the runway, at the end of the Puerto Vallarta airport there, is the Marriott. The Marriott is there. They've got the Velas Vallarta. There's a golf course, the Malia. All those beaches that are close to the mouth of the Marina Vallarta are also susceptible to crocs because, hey, the estuary actually empties into the marina and into the harbor there. So don't approach one of these animals. Okay, they move. They can move. They're big. They look like they're slow, but they can move very fast. As I said, don't do a selfie with one. They look like they're smiling, right? But that's not what they're thinking when they're smiling at you. So. And don't grab one by the tail. I've seen a video of someone doing that right on the Puerto Vallarta golf course here. So stay clear, and all will be good. Just be aware, right? Be aware of your surroundings. It's very important, actually, to keep in mind that this kind of attack is very rare. And hey, now you've got the knowledge. Knowledge is a powerful thing. So don't be afraid. Just be wise and follow the rules, right? Rainy season. Rainy season is well underway, and it's been a little over a month now since the first rain of the season came, and the mountains around Puerto Vallarta are looking green. They're looking lush. It's really beautiful here, but the weather has been hot and humid. I think it's got to be. It's got to be hotter than last June and July. I don't think it's because I'm just getting old or older. I also think that we haven't had as much rain, even though we had that early start as we did last year. I'm going to have to find someone with someone new with a weather station here and get the answer to that question. I hiked up to the Mirador de la Cruz. That's the cross that is standing up, overlooking the town. And it looks like the graffiti artists have returned to our newly painted Mirador. A couple months ago, we were all up there scraping and painting the city, and volunteers like myself getting all that graffiti off. And that took a lot of years to accumulate that kind of paintage. And it looks like they're back. But hopefully the city will be able to keep on top of the new graffiti before it gets out of control. We'll see. For those of you who do that hike, they open up the bathrooms. So on weekends, I think you'll be able to find the bathrooms open. I was there the other day, like I said, it was a weekday, and the bathrooms were not open. But, make sure you bring yourself 10 pesos, because that's what it's going to cost to go in and relieve yourself of whatever. Over the years, I've had several of you ask if I make money doing this podcast. So I want to remind you that I don't. I don't make any money podcasting. This podcast started originally as a way to help JR, my friend, the late, great John Russell, get the word out about his tour selling website, vallartainfo.com. That's a story in itself, but that was for him, and he unfortunately is no longer with us. I made a deal with Alberto Perez. Alberto is the owner, as I'll say before each show, of the Grupo Lapa Lapa, and I told him that I would do a spot or Lapa Lapa and El Dorado restaurant. And at the time, they had the Vista Grill, but now they have the Bistro Jazz Cafe. Anyway, he gave me permission to use his music, Samba de Puerto Vallarta, which you hear at the beginning and the end of each show. And he had no idea this was going to last 10 years. I'm sure he figured this would be like, one and done. But anyway, it's not a freebie. In fact, when I walk into Lapa Lapa, they have no idea who I am. And when I go to a bar or a restaurant or a hotel or a business, or I talk to an artist over at their gallery, or I talk with a tour company like, I did today, or anyone else that you've heard over the last 10 years, when I go through the process of asking them if they would come on the show or invite them to be on the show, I look them straight in the eye and I tell them, I'm here because I think that my listeners will benefit from hearing your story. That's the only reason I'm here. Or because someone, suggested, maybe a listener suggested that I talk to them, or I tell them it's just because I like their place. And I tell them I don't want money, I don't want food, I don't want alcohol, I don't want a free room or a free pass to your show. No, all I want is your story. And I tell them when I walk through your door, I want you to know that I'm paying. I don't want free stuff. And you know what? It works. It works almost every time. And it's what it is my gift to Vallarta and my gift to these places that I like and the people who run these places who I like too. And because I happen to like them and because, I might even come back and visit them a bunch, when I walk back in their door, I don't want them to feel uneasy. I want them to know that I don't want a freebie. We're friends, and we're friends just because we are, because I like them and I like what they do. And I help them get the word out about their place. And in return, I want nothing more than their story. And so I built hundreds of friendships here in Puerto Vallarta using this formula. And to me, that is payment enough. And that's how I get repaid for my work. And it takes hours. It takes me at least 10 or 12 hours to put out a podcast when I do. So, but I've made a lot of friends with listeners, with podcast listeners, which is pretty cool too. I made forever friends, as a matter of fact. Ray and Deb and Chris Gilbert, and I don't want to miss anybody, but I'm just saying, these are people that we met because I do a podcast, and every once in a while, which is kind of cool, we get asked out for drinks, or what's even cooler is someone, a complete stranger, will come right up to me and introduce themselves because they know me from the podcast. So that really tickles me. It really makes me happy, and yeah, it really does. So there are, unfortunately, many quote unquote influencers in this town, and they are asking for favors in return for promoting a business here. And I think, well, personally, it's just not for me. I think it ruins the genuine act of kindness, helping a business with no strings attached. That's how I like to do it. But hey, maybe these influencers, they have bills to pay. And I would understand that if they need to feed a family, or they need to, pay their rent. But I don't consider myself an influencer. I'm a podcaster. And I use my platform, which I created, for my listeners, for you, my friends, and so people can enjoy Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Listen, I'm retired, and I am done chasing the dollar. I really am. Trust me. Speaking, trust me, I'm almost ready to send the first edition of my restaurant review newsletter. I included 2 restaurants in the coming edition. And I'm actually putting together a list of air-conditioned restaurants in town. And I'm going to be sending that out really soon. If you are interested in receiving the newsletter and haven't already, just send me an email with your email, asking to be put on the email list, and I'll add you to it. And I don't want your information. I don't sell your information. It's just between you and me. And hey, thanks to all of you who have already emailed me. And like I said, soon it will be on its way. We are in the middle of slow season, and you would think it would be slim pickings for live music, but not so fast, my friends. My lovely wife suggested I look at the face bag and look for the page. It's called Live Music in PV. Write that down. If you're not already in the group, I will link it in the show notes, but just look for it there in your Facebook and join. And they have the best info and the most up-to-date info on what's going on in town. And actually, for Friday, a couple of days ago, let me just look here. Friday, they had Pelos over at Cafe Roma at 5. They had Rob Lord at the Gusto Lounge at 5:30 to 8. They had Tromba Vetstusa, wow, at Casita in Garden. Oh, okay. Allison Lowe and Jorge Lara at Oasis Bar over at 7 o'clock. They had Fair and Saul at Oasis after that. Allison and Jorge at Oasis. So, yeah, these people are doing numerous gigs on the same day. The Texas Embassy Blues over at Nacho Daddy, although I think they had their last show last week. I think maybe they've got that there, my mistake. They've got an outline jam in Versailles, the Animals Dueto at Proyecto Hamburguesa at 9, and the Pleasant Uprising at the Sanctuary PV at 9, Lovers at Cuarto de Música at 10, Pelos, again, this is all the same day, at Roxy Rock House at 10, and then after that, the Roxy Rock Band, they have a house band there. They're from 12:45 in the morning and on. And yeah, if you want to find music and dancing, and I'm pretty sure that they keep that place nice and chilly and air conditioned. We saw Duncan Shadrack over at Whiskey Kitchen PV, actually on Friday as well. He had a nice little crowd there, good food, drink, also air conditioned. Plus, there's almost something always happening over at La Catrina Cantina. They're over in the Zona Romantica. You go check them out on their Facebook page. So, hey, who says live music is dead in the slow season? Not me. Not me. We've all found all the places, haven't we? Check the Facebook pages of the venues that are listed just to make sure that you aren't disappointed, because sometimes they might get their list wrong. But, hey, it's slow season. You sometimes get a little bit of a schedule change. You don't want anybody to be disappointed. So definitely check out the face bag before you go and commit to go to any one of these places. It's hot. You don't want to expend energy. Speaking of hot, we're going to have another meet and greet over at an air-conditioned place, El Granero. Yep, we had over 10 people come to our last event. You heard from some of them on the last episode. We had Mama Vallarta with her matzo ball soup. She was crazy. Funny. You had Trudy and Scott. Trudy, the jewelry maker, Scott, the sandwich maker. They had their own little businesses. And who can forget the story about her knee replacement? Oh, my God. Yeah, she had it here in Vallarta, and she had a good experience, but what she went through. Anyway, we also had Tom. We had Tom Hicks. This was all last time, a couple weeks back. Tom from DC, he told us about his journey through the immigration process, using Gringo for Gringo, our friend Kim over at Gringo for Gringo, to get all that done. Oh, and another one. Right now, we're going to actually have another one. We have Stephen from Vallarta Eats. He's coming up really soon. So, hey, we'll see if we can create some magic once again. So El Granero, if you don't know, is a brewery. It was built by Connor and Stephanie Watts of the Los Muertos Brewing fame. And you can find El Granero on Francisco I. Madero 333 in Zona Romantica. It is air-conditioned, as I said, and it was a great fit for our meetup that we had with our microphones. And we're going to do it again, and we're going to do it during their happy hour like we did before. I'm going to wait till the FIFA soccer madness is over. Congratulations to Mexico for making it as far as they did. Boy, they really brought a lot of business to bars, and they're still going to. We got a lot more to go, but we're not here to talk about soccer, that round ball thing. That's for somebody else. And so anyway, we're going to have this so we don't have a scheduling conflict. We're going to have it after all that soccer madness is over, Wednesday, July 22nd, from 3 to 5 in the afternoon. And I'll say it again, as I always do. If you have a restaurant, if you have a bar, if you have a Vallarta business or a charity that you would like to promote, or you just want to share your Vallarta story, come by. We don't bite. Come spend some time with friends, spill the beans if you want. And it'll just be on our little podcast, that little Puerto Vallarta travel show. That open microphone is always a lot of fun. Come and speak or chill with us. Enjoy a couple air-conditioned hours at El Granero and a few beers or whatever, cold drink you like. They serve everything there at Granero. Again, Wednesday, July 22nd from 3 to 5 in the afternoon. We'll see you there. Hey, with that in mind, let's get to our guests, shall we? Our first guest is a guy that I've had on the show many times over the years, Edgar Rivas. Edgar has become a very good friend of ours, and he's responsible for putting together some very popular events in town. There's the Taco Festival, there's the Ceviche Festival, there's the Raicilla Festival. There's so many others. Well, the last time we spoke with Edgar, he was talking tequila, and he is a certified tequila sommelier. I like my French. Do you like that? And surprise, surprise, he is talking tequila again, and this is his newest venture. It's called Alma de Agave Tequila Tasting Experience. And Edgar has teamed up with another one of my favorite people in Puerto Vallarta, Chef Julio Cesar Castañón Perez of Gaby's Restaurant and Bar. And Edgar's going to be doing these tastings right on the rooftop at Gaby's, where Chef Julio does his cooking classes, which, if you haven't taken one, I would highly, highly recommend that you do. Anyway, it's a great idea, and anyway, he's going to tell you all about it. So let's go right to my balcony over in Colonia Alta Vista, where we have a city view of the bay and the church. And let's have a chat with Edgar Rivas about tequila, mezcal, raicilla, and more. And it's Alma de Agave tequila tasting in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Edgar, thanks for coming back on the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show.
Hi, Barry. Once again, thank you so much for the invitation. It's always a pleasure to be here with you and even share with all the audience you have the great things happening in Puerto Vallarta.
Yeah, and you've got some new things happening for you. I mean, usually I'm getting together with you. We're talking about a festival or something that you're putting together, but you have a new tequila business.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I had a certification in agave spirits. So I took this certification a few years ago. And well, you guys know me. You might remember me from the festivals. The Festival del Ceviche and Aguachile is coming at the end of July, July 26th.
Okay.
We're having also a new location at the convention center.
Okay.
So
we'll take note. All right, we'll talk about that a little later.
We're gonna let you know about it. But yeah, regarding the tequila experience, I'm collaborating with Chef Julio from Gaby's Restaurant. So they have a great place. I guess you guys know the restaurant, Mexican style. So up there, they have a beautiful terrace. So where I'm having tequila tasting experience. So the name of the project is Alma de Agave. Well, as a certified mezcalero taster, I will teach people how to sip tequila and other agave spirits in the proper way. So the main idea is obviously to teach people. I mean, first you need to erase from your mind all what you think about tequila, etc. Because there's misinformation, things happening during the last decades, no. But I mean, the idea of Alma de Agave, it is for you to learn first with your eyes. Let's see if we're gonna sip tequila blanco. Okay, you need to. You see the color is silver, like crystal,
Yeah.
If you're having an extra añejo, well, it should be a little bit darker. So obviously I explain people why the color, why is crystalline or why is getting darker, like amber color. Well, you start with your eyes and then using champagne flutes because we don't use shots.
Interesting. Yeah.
Because exacto, it's not a you're not gonna shoot it, you're gonna sip it. So then we cover the champagne flute. I pre-pour the glasses, so we cover it with a coaster, so you can contain all the steam, the smell of the spirit. So then you uncover the glass, and then you immediately smell. See. So the idea it is for you to use your nose as a ruler, let's say like a measure level, no? So then you smell the punch of the alcohol. That thing is very important because regarding the quality and because I'm only gonna use handmade tequila, agave spirits.
Okay.
So the nothing commercial. So obviously the experience, we're gonna enhance the experience, no? You're gonna smell the alcohol in the proper way. And then using your nose, I will show you, teach you how to measure when it's good, the distillation when it's good, when it's properly done. And then, well, the third part, obviously, we need to taste it. So once you see it, once you smell it, then you taste it, you have a sip, you cleanse your palate, covering all your mouth with the tequila. So then you swallow, you exhale, and then, well, you wait a few seconds, and then you will feel now the alcohol, no?
Right.
Where it hits you in the front of your palate, in the middle, in the back, etc. No? So the same, wherever the tequila, wherever you feel the alcohol, it will tell you the quality. So see, there's many things. I mean, I love to do these things. I've been doing tastings for years and years. So now with restaurant Gaby's, this collaboration we're starting to have, it will be awesome because it's tequila. Who doesn't know about tequila? But I mean, now you're gonna learn in the proper way. So it's very popular now. Everybody like super trendy. The tequilas, all the celebrities, they have now their own brands. It's good. I mean, in the US, you guys have many different brands. We don't have here in Mexico sometimes because these are only for exportation, etc. So I mean, sometimes people ask me, "Hey, which is the best tequila?" I say, obviously, there's many good tequilas, many brands, but it also depends where you live, no? Because they might be like a big liquor store where you can find different tequilas, different mezcales, etc. So, or maybe you live in a small town where it's only the commercial ones, no? So, I mean, by doing this tasting experience, you will be able to realize when you're drinking a good tequila, and the same when you go back home, and if you have at your bar, at your place, like a few different bars, then you can do exercise.
Right.
I always encourage people, like, this is your homework. You need to taste more tequilas. Now you learn how to do it with the eyes, with the nose, and the mouth, and the palate. So then it's for you to
Now you can share that, right?
Yeah, you share, learn, sip more, keep
Right.
sipping, keep drinking tequila.
We'll drink more too, yes.
Exactly. And obviously sharing them, because this is very important. Once you learn how to do it in the proper way, etc., like, hey, man, it's like you must share this information with the rest of the people. I mean, when you have the chance, when you have always, there's people who always like do shots. I mean, if we're having celebration, etc., I mean, why not? But I mean, there's always moments, different parties, when you gather with your friends, like, hey, guys, let me show you this, how to sip tequila in the proper way, because you might have a nice bottle at home and you don't want to waste it doing shots. So by
mixing it.
Exacto, making margarita, something crazy. So by learning this, you can enjoy and not even share with people and tell them, like, what's just the good stuff, no? What they are going to taste.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I like that. And plus, you are going to be at Gaby's restaurant, and you're going to be having these tequila tastings, the same place where he has his cooking classes up on the roof, right?
Right, yes.
Yeah.
The cooking classes, the Chef Julio, he does, is very popular. So we're having the activity in the rooftop. So the cooking classes are always in the morning, and they finish during the evening, lunchtime, and the tastings will be on the evenings, 7 p.m. once the sun is going down. Obviously, they have a nice view from the church.
Yeah.
We are perfectly in downtown, just a few blocks from the cathedral, Lady Guadalupe Church. See, right in Mina Street, it's pretty much the same street of the cathedral.
It is, yeah.
Exactly.
That's fantastic. And now I was at one of your tastings just a few days ago, and it was very informative. Thank you very much. It was good. It was a great presentation. You guys, you'll really enjoy it. And then afterwards, actually, we went downstairs and had a little dinner.
Exactly.
So it's a great place to do the tasting, and then afterwards enjoy a dinner over at Gaby's.
Yeah, see, I mean, it's totally the idea also, like this perfect collaboration. Like, I mean, tequila makes you hungry. It's perfect. It's kind of like the dinner time. So, yes, either you eat before the tasting or after the tasting, but it's the perfect place because downstairs you have all the restaurant, amazing, tasty menu. And then also you can get some margaritas, other cocktails, because now you prepare your palate
Yeah.
for the next step. See, so I mean, it will be an amazing collaboration. So this is the idea, and not even being in downtown, it's perfect location for all the tourists. I mean, it makes it more easy to get there. So that's the idea, no? Like to share this beautiful culture, this knowledge from Mexico, for all the tourists. I mean, tourists and also people who lives here. They wanna get involved and learn more because we have in Vallarta raicilla, which is another agave spirit,
Yeah.
and it's only made here in the surrounding areas, in the coast and the mountain. So that's another agave spirit. We're also gonna do tastings using raicillas, mezcales from Oaxaca, from other states of Mexico, because I mean this is not only tequila. Tequila is one of the cousins in the family. You have raicilla, you have mezcal, you have bacanora from Sonora. So those are the mezcales with denomination of origin. Plus many more other things from different regions, because in Mexico there's more than 400 different agaves. It's a big family. So they are cousins related, but the cousin from the north is not the same from the cousin from the south. So, different profiles, smell, tasting, the flavors, aromas. So it's very it's nice when people likes to learn more about this, because I mean, once you get in the tequila, once you start with this flow, then I mean, I want to taste more and more, no?
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So, how do we find, Alma de
Agave.
So love of tequila.
El agave soul.
Ah,
Sería agave soul. Alma de Agave.
ah,
That's you can find us on Instagram and Facebook as Alma de Agave. See, I mean, we're gonna start to post actually this Saturday. Last Saturday, you were with me on the first tasting, so we're gonna start post the videos, pictures we had from this first tasting. For you can get more idea about what is gonna happen, the place, the area where we where we host the tasting. So see, follow us in Alma de Agave in social media. Also, you can get more information. If you are in downtown, you can walk to Gaby's restaurant, ask for the information, and we can book the experience for you. Like, we're going to do it like pretty much Monday to Saturday at 7 p.m. So that will be a interesting experience for you guys if you're coming for now this summer vacations.
Very good. And then afterwards as well, I'll have all that information in the show notes at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. And then, look for that. I'm sure he'll have that. I'm sure that Chef Julio will also have that information on his website as well, I'm guessing.
Exactly. See, we're going to share the information also in the social media from Gaby's restaurant. Also, we're advertising in different platforms, Viator, TripAdvisor, Airbnb experiences. So you will find us in different medias, and obviously here in town with the OPCs, the guys who sells the tourists in along the Malecon.
Right.
We're gonna have flyers, information flyers. So for you to, I mean, if you are walking around asking for things to do in Vallarta, well, That's also always the perfect excuse
Yeah, I think so too.
to
There's
sip tequilas.
always a good excuse to sip tequilas.
Exacto.
Just start afternoon, you guys. Don't do it in the morning. Don't do it in the morning. Okay, now I am not passing judgment. Edgar, thanks again for coming on the show. Thank you so much for inviting me to that tasting. I mean, I'm going to tell everybody right now, it's a great experience. They're using only really, really nice tequila, and
those
that's
brands are not
important.
popular.
No,
Those
right?
brands you can find in a normal liquor store. So only handmade tequilas. So that's also a plus. That's good you mentioned, amigo, because see, we don't use nothing commercial. So you're gonna get a nice, beautiful surprise when you see the bottles you even can't recognize. But trust me, the highest quality.
Exactly, and no headache in the morning, kids. None of
Exacto.
that. Edgar, thanks, brother.
Thank you so much, Barry, and see you around, guys.
Yeah, for the love, for the heart
For the
of
heart.
tequila.
Exactamente.
The soul of tequila.
The soul of tequila.
Thank you so much, Edgar. Thank you, sir. Don't you love his voice? I just love his voice. The way he rolls his R's, just amazing. You can find all the information that you need to sign up for your tequila tasting experience in the show notes. So go ahead to www.puertovallartatravelshow.com and find it there. I got to say, it was great to be there at Gaby's. After that tasting, we went down, we ordered an authentic Mexican meal right there, and it was delicious. A lovely atmosphere right near the church. Gaby's is Old Vallarta at its best. It's one of my favorite places to eat, as you may know already. And of course, it is on my list of favorite Mexican munchies as well. Take that. And thank you again, Edgar. That tequila was delicious, and you will be impressed as well. So sign up. And next up, we have Stephen Castrianni. Stephen is the owner and operator of Vallarta Eats Food Tours, and he came to our meet and greet and over at El Granero, and I'm so glad that he did. Vallarta Eats has been doing food tours in Puerto Vallarta for 15 years now, and they are and have built a well-oiled machine. I know that if I'm sitting in a restaurant and one of their tours comes in, and it's happened quite a bit, I know that I'm in the right place. I mean, you can recognize them by the bag that they carry. Each attendee is given a bag that says, Vallarta Eats Food Tours on it. Brilliant marketing, if you ask me. And, Chef Julio, he also does the same thing, by the way, with his cooking classes. Got a bag with Gaby's Restaurant and Bar on the side of it. So very good, great marketing, Stephen. So Stephen comes to the meetup with merch. Yeah, he had Vallarta Eats drink koozies, which was a big hit with all of our attendees. Free stuff. Actually, free stuff that you can use is always welcome. And drink koozies or cozies, they are a must in the tropical heat. So those were all snatched up quickly by all of those that were in attendance. And then we got down to how Stephen got here, got to this paradise, Puerto Vallarta, and how he got started in the food tour business in Mexico with Vallarta Eats. So let's hear Stephen's story from the meetup over at Cerveceria y Restaurante El Granero in Zona Romantica. So let's hear Stephen's story, shall we? From the meetup at Cerveceria y Restaurante El Granero in Zona Romantica, it's Stephen Castrianni of Vallarta Eats Food Tours in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Stephen, thanks for coming on the show.
Barry, thank you so much for having me here.
Tell us about we'll talk about Vallarta Eats Food Tours in just a minute, but tell us about yourself. Where are you from, and what was your path that led you to Puerto Vallarta?
Well, I'm happy that you asked me where I'm from because I'm from Philadelphia, and the fact that you have to ask means that I've shaken the accent.
You have? Oh, yeah.
After 50 years, I finally did it. But yeah, no, so my story sort of starts out the same as many people here. I've been in Vallarta here a little over 5 years. I came down to work remotely. towards the end of COVID because Mexico had the most laxed of the they pulled back on their policies earliest,
really early.
And I had been, I lived in a high rise condo in Philly, had been very good. All my friends had been very good, or also had, I lived by myself. So, other people had partners or even pets or things to keep them occupied. So as soon as the time came to sort of break out of that, I was working for an ad agency up there. It's my previous life is in marketing and advertising. I was a producer for QVC for a while. So I was considered myself a professional traveler as well, professional tourist.
Yeah.
So the first opportunity I had to sort of get out of the apartment, the condo, and we weren't going back to the office anytime soon, I decided to come down here for a month. And it sort of started out like any other regular trip, we'll say. But again, in my, it was sort of planned that all of my early part of my career, I chose jobs that I would be able to travel on other people's dime, which worked out very well. So
very
especially
good.
QVC sent me all around the world.
Really?
Sent me on safari in Africa.
We got to talk about that.
Yeah. So when we would show something on air, we would say, and we, especially, gems and things like that. And I'll say, and we sent our team out to Tanzania to see actually, and so I would take a crew out to Tanzania and we would go on safari just to capture all the B-roll.
Right.
It was great. So I like I said, that's why I considered myself a professional tourist for a while.
Big on the Tanzanite, baby.
That's right. 100%. They, but in that time, I was picking up all these skills that I really wasn't sure why, they didn't why didn't, and they all sort of came together when I got here to Vallarta.
Yeah.
So I had, gone to some amazing places. I did a lot of work in Ireland, one of the most beautiful places ever. Right.
Right.
But every time I was on that flight back to Philly, I was like, oh, thank God, I'm coming back to Philly.
Right.
When I tell you I was here 3 days and I was Googling, the broadest of Google searches. How can an American who works for a company in the United States stay within, Mexico and never have to leave? Kind of thing. And which was such a rare thing for me because again, Philly was home. I loved it. And that's where I was always happy to go back to. And when, my a little bit over a month here was done, I went back, and for the first 3 days or so, I couldn't get out of my head. I thought, 2 weeks, it'll pass. It's going to pass. And it didn't. I could not get out of my head. So what ended up happening was, while I was here, even though we could work from anywhere for the agency, I didn't tell them I was going to Mexico. I didn't really feel it was relevant. So anyway, so I was here, and my second day here, I took a Vallarta Eats Food Tour. And back at that time, the previous owner, the founder, Eric, he had a lot of questions on the reservation form. And one of them essentially was, why are you taking this tour? And it was open-ended. And I exactly said what I just said to you.
Yeah.
And he wrote back to me. He said, Stephen, so great, that you're taking this tour. What a coincidence. I came from Philly 15 years ago. You better be careful because I never went back home, kind of thing, right? So I take the tour because I needed to figure out where to eat, because I needed to, I had to start work Monday morning, and this was Sunday night. So I took the tour, had a great time. And then about 2 weeks later, Eric sent me a message again. He said, hey, Philly friend, how are things going? And the few little reply I meant to me, he went, uh-oh. He's like, you have it. You've got bitten. And I said, I don't know about that. So after I went back to Philly, I, wrote to him. I said, you know what? I think you were right. I think I'm coming back. Well, at that point, he had already known my history of being in advertising, digital marketing. And he had to let his agency go that was based out of Miami because of COVID, because there are 11 months, I think, on the books that we have of 0 reservations, back from then.
Right.
And he said, if you're coming back, I would love to have somebody, feet on the ground, taking care of, all of our social, all of our digital marketing, instead of someone in Miami where I'm supplying them with content.
So
and then
he was in Miami, huh?
No, he was here.
He was here.
But the agency just happened to be in Miami. So he was sending them collateral. They were coming up with concepts, sending it back. He was sort of tweaking it because they weren't here, calling things, churros like fritters and things. They're having to do even, more work. And he said, I would love to have someone here who could do that. And I said, sure, I'll do it. Get me, acclimate it to the, to the culture and to just out and seeing people, because I knew no one. I have no connections to Vallarta.
Yeah.
So my first year here, I lived in Versailles by design. Because even, I know it's only been 5 years, but Versailles 5 years ago didn't have quite as many, Americans, expats, whatever you want to call them, Canadians living there.
Right.
There was predominantly a Spanish-speaking neighborhood, and I knew that I needed that. Having a degree in French and English literature, I had no Spanish whatsoever.
Got it.
So I knew that I wasn't going to learn that here, in Zona as much as I wanted to. Trust me, I wanted to be here. So I lived a year out there. Got a really, quick, immersive, learning of Spanish. Tried to keep my friend circle to predominantly, Mexican nationals, which was easy out there.
Yeah.
And some people, so it really helped. And then after that, it was still working doing work in the States for the agency, but doing this little consulting work for Eric, when he needed it. And one day he met me. He said, "Will you meet me at the plaza?" And I said, "Sure." And he goes, so we sat down and he goes, "Steven, so I was planning on retiring next year." And I had already been with Vallarta Eats then for about a year and a half, mind you. And he said, and I have 2 friends who just retired. And he said, "It's killing me." He said, the FOMO, the fear of missing out. He's like, "And I can do it, so I want to do it, even though it wasn't my plan." And he said, "So, I'm going to sell the business." And I'll be honest, when I know about something, I'll tell you I know about something. But sometimes I'm a little thick, and you need to kind of like write it on a baseball bat and hit me with it. And he kept saying all these things, and then finally said, "I said, okay, well, whoever comes in, I can stay on for a little bit, but tell them no obligation to keep me. It's just, for the transition." And he just like was staring at me like, how dumb are you? And I was like, "I don't get it." He goes, "I'm offering to sell it to you." And I was like, oh, kind of thing. And he said, "Because my plan is to still be in Vallarta." And he said, "I found that this business by myself. It's my baby." And he said, "If I were moving somewhere else after, it wouldn't affect me as much." He said, "But I'm going to see this tour on the street, and I want to know that it's in good hands." And he said, "After working with you for this, year and a half, and I was more involved with the tours at that point than he was, because he was doing the administration work back in the office, and I was the one going on all the tours to get all the, the video and things to support the social."
Yeah.
So I learned a lot and I went on all the tours. So I knew all the tours, all the vendors, all the foods. And so I gave it a little thought. It was one of those things where it's like, I don't know. Like I didn't know how much it cost to buy a business. It was not on my radar.
Yeah.
On my radar was just to stay in Vallarta until my agency said, "We're coming back to the office." And so that was my plan. So all of a sudden I was hit with that.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? I've made much worse decisions. And I know, like as bad as this decision might be, I have definitely made much worse ones. This decision will not end I will not end up in jail making this decision, so we're already above a lot of other decisions I made. So I decided to do it. It was a very quick turnaround because he wanted that high season. This was in September, and he wanted to be done by the end of high season. So that's exactly when, but I had to go from just a tourist visa to having, a residency, and then getting approval for the work, and then getting approval to purchase the business, and all these things. So it happened to happen really fast.
Yeah.
And we know that government offices around the holidays are closed 3 weeks. They're closed. So so we expedited it. We had a great, my guy here, Alvaro, he's really great at facilitating that. So
what is he? Is like what
he works for the immigration department, but he does consulting, and he has people who does work for him as well, essentially. See, he really took care of everything.
Very nice.
It's kind of like what in marketing, and this is what we say. You could have it good, fast, or cheap. Or pick 2.
Right.
So it was one of those. So we needed it fast, and we needed it good. So it wasn't cheap, unfortunately.
No.
So we had the purchase of the business. But in looking at the business purchase, I always look at it as 2 purchases. I was purchasing the business, which I love. I just love it. I love what we do and how we do it. And then I was also purchasing my permanency. So, and that's what happened. And then, so as soon as we sort of agreed that it was going to happen, he was really great. And he said, any decisions that I make now are going to impact you. So I'm going to let you start making decisions. So around like November, December, when we realized that this was happening, he kind of handed it over to me and said, here, I'll guide you, but this is yours, because we're making decisions now that are going to impact the business next September. And he said, I'm going to be somewhere on a cruise. So it's, this is for you to worry about. So it's a really good, good transition. He's still in Vallarta. And so I've been with Vallarta Eats just about a little over 5 years, and have owned the business a little over 3 years. And that's how we get to Vallarta Eats Food
Very
Tours.
good. Okay, so people who are looking for Vallarta Eats, of course, they can find it on Facebook. They can find it on. You just type Vallarta Eats.
Vallarta Eats, it should come up. If I'm doing my job right, which is I always say to people, the reason why it's working and why I was able to take the business, to bring it a little higher than it was because I could not afford to hire myself to do the work that I do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the States, my agency would bill me out at, $255 an hour. I wouldn't get that. Trust me. I didn't get that. The agency got it. But that's what my services were. If I were to have, I'd be able to handle 1 hour of work a month to pay someone to do that, So that's where the bonus comes in. And that's why I said, going back to what I said earlier, some of all the things that I've sort of learned along the way, all these skills that seem to be, disconnected, all of a sudden came together. My whole, in digital marketing, all of that comes together. My history of planning trips and really basing around tourism, all of that planning for the production work that I did. And in my early days, I worked for the WB, which in the States was, back in the day, that was Buffy, Felicity, Dawson's Creek. And so that was a demographic of women, 18 to 34. And then when I moved to QVC, I moved right up with those same women who was the demographic there. So I have been, all of my skill set in marketing are really targeting that demographic that I have grown with. And then we moved to Vallarta Eats, and all of a sudden, now it's that same demographic, just a little older, because predominantly the decision makers who book the tours are usually the wives or the girlfriends or something like that. They say, we're going on a food tour. They're the ones who are doing the research. So that's where my history in marketing really helps out, because I know how to speak to I know now how to speak to women 35 to 65 plus, because I've been speaking to them since they've been 18 watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer on the WB.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it's been really great. Like I said, it all sort of just dovetailed together in a really interesting way.
So that is, those are some of the changes that you've made then to the tour then, since you took over and did some different kind of steering, right?
Yeah, well, definitely. So one of the things I learned about, because especially, and aside from being like what I said, a professional tourist, I traveled a lot, and I was very fortunate. I did get a chance to go to school in France in high school. I went to university in a shout out to UEA in Norwich in England.
Okay.
I have a creative writing certificate from there. So I have been very fortunate to have traveled a lot. So I know what a traveler is looking for.
Right.
And especially a traveler to a destination like Puerto Vallarta, different than if we're going to London and we're seeing sites and its history. Where I really feel as though I've changed the business and where we set ourselves apart from other of our competition, we'll call it that for now, competition, is that our approach now is more of a passive learning. People are not coming to Puerto Vallarta to learn. They're not here to necessarily, I don't want anyone ever to leave the tour feeling like, or be on the tour feeling like they're going to be quizzed. If they're going to be quizzed on anything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I stripped away all dates, except for dates like El Moreno's been in business 45 years, or this is what, but as soon as I hear, you'll not hear, and in 1921, and in 1955, nope, that's not what we do anymore. We used to have laminated sheets that had the different types of peppers on it, which some other tours do. Laminated sheets to show the tour guides. And here's the state of Michoacán. Michoacán is, that's not what people are coming for.
Right.
People learn through our tours through immersive passiveness. And that's what's so great about them. They leave the tour with more knowledge than what they came in with, but they also they don't actually necessarily feel like, oh, I just got through the ringer of, an intense history course.
Right. They were inundated with,
they're getting all of that. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's how I learned, and so that's why I think that's where not only is the business different than when I inherited it, or I shouldn't say inherited because that meant I wouldn't have paid for it when I bought it, to where it is now, and also some other tours. Because I'll be out, at restaurants. I mean, I live right here. Everything stays right here in between Zona and Centro, for me anyway. Although we have tours in 4 different neighborhoods, and I do hear, overhear other tours. And I'm like, oh my God, or especially a tour that if they're using a little speaker, forget it. You're not on the right tour. That's not the type of tour. That's not what, people might think that's because what their options are, predominantly. But you're not coming to Puerto Vallarta. You're coming, most people, this is what happens. And this is how it works for all food tours. And maybe some other types of tour businesses as well. This is exactly what happens. You have, especially an American tourist or a tourist from the United States, because we're all American here. They say, all right, everyone, I'm shutting down my computer. I'm going to Puerto Vallarta and I'm going to sit on the beach and by the pool and drink margaritas for a week. Do not bother me, right? So they get here. And then by day 3, what happens is these people who have, 20 days of PTO a year, who barely get time off, who are used to being in an office setting under deadlines or taking kids to soccer practice or going grocery shopping, they physically they have a physical reaction. They do not know how to handle a relaxing atmosphere. And that's where we come in. Unless it's a big party that's coming, like for a birthday party, a birthday, anniversary, big celebration, bachelorette party, people aren't planning that far ahead. They're not booking a tour to Puerto Vallarta because they want to come on a food tour. They're coming here, they want to do that. And then around day 3, because going back to most of our fulfillment happens within 72 hours of purchase. So it's a really small window. We have people who book out, we're coming down for my husband's 40th. There's 15 of us, and that's a 3-month out booking, 4-month out booking possibly.
Okay.
But most of the bookings, like families of 4, most of those bookings are coming in. Like there are people who will take our tour on Friday who have not booked yet and don't even know that we exist yet because someone there is sitting by the pool. Like I was saying, I did a really broad search on Google. Do anything. What else is there to do in Puerto Vallarta besides sit by a pool and drink margaritas?
Right.
And that's where I come in, and that's where my digital marketing comes in because that's how I know to reach them, where to reach them, and how to reach them. And that's really how, going back to sort of how the business changed a lot by having that knowledge, by having that, and not doing a broad buy on Google. People might be doing some very first top of the funnel searches for what to do in Puerto Vallarta, but to do when we were doing full on media buys in the United States for people, that isn't converting. And if it is converting, it's converting at a very high, the cost of acquisition on a single ticket is way too high. So that's why our focus is the traveler who is here this week. Right. And that's what I focus on.
All right. So if somebody comes to your website and they're looking for a specific tour,
yes.
right? I'm sure they're all listed on your site.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So let's talk about some of those tours.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine you have well, tell us about it.
Yeah. So I think right now we usually average in around 9. I always say 9 tours, 9 top rated tours is what you'll see in the marketing support. It's usually somewhere between 9 and 11, depending, because we do run specialty tours. The tours in particular that are the most important to us is the first is our signature taco tour. That tour runs 7 days a week. It can run up to 3 tours a day. That is the tour that started it all 15 years ago. And on that tour, we still have partners who have been with us since that first year. El Moreno, right here down the street. La Michoacana, the other corner. Chenfai and Marisma, they've been with that tour since the first year of that tour.
Yeah.
And that's the tour that everybody comes back for. I'm surprised at how many people come back to that tour and also recommend that tour to other people who are coming, go on that. if there's no way, there are some times when we'll replace some of the partners on our tour, and that's only because we've accomplished our mission. Our mission really is two sides. One is to introduce tourists to the Vallarta beyond the coastline, which is wonderful and great in all of its own ways, but there's so much more to it. That's one thing. And the other side of that is to support local businesses, to support the family-owned businesses that have been around for generations, that really keep Vallarta going. And we're here, at the early days of Vallarta and helping it grow into what it is. So it's to introduce, to keep them, in it. If we do our job correctly, not that I'm saying we're curing any great diseases, but like in that field, if you're doing research to cure something and you cure it, you put yourself out of work. And so if we do our job correctly, I make my job more difficult, because there are some partners who we do have to we very amicably part ways with, because they don't need us anymore. We've sort of done our job. And this is how we know when we go to a place after, and I hear some feedback that say, I thought we were going to all local places. These are all tourists here. Shows we did our job, because the only way the tourists know about the places that we're going to is because they've either been on a tour,
your tour,
or they know someone who's been on a tour who then has recommended those places. So like I said, and fortunately, unfortunately, even, within the last 3 years, there's probably about 4 or 5 long-standing partnerships that, you both agreed, like, they're no hard feelings on either side.
Right.
But we've done our job, and now that's why we moved on. So we have some places that have been with us for a long time that we will never part with. El Moreno will be with Vallarta Eats until El Moreno no longer exists. It will, as long as Vallarta Eats exists, El Moreno will be on the tour. The only way it's gone off the tour is if El Moreno goes away. But then we also try to find some new places, and that's why. So, right, talking about El Moreno, Bar de Mar, right there is a great story, because it's newer. And and how it ties in, because we all, coming from the marketing background, we want this, this narrative to make sense. And the Bar de Mar is great because it was founded by Cesar and his cousin. What's his cousin's name? I forget. But Cesar, who owns the real estate company right in back of that, owns the Bar de Mar, and their grandfather was the founder of Ms. Maloya Grill.
Okay.
So, and then after 25 years, I think what had happened was, when the time came for him to be done with the business, there was no one in the family who was at the right place to take it over. So to keep sort of the legacy alive, the cousins came together to come to do the Marisco stand here on Francisco Madero, and it's great. So we love to be able to support new businesses like that. They were on our anniversary tour. That's the tour that we did special for our 15th anniversary, the start of our 15th anniversary celebration. We brought them over 250 guests.
Oh my!
Yeah, so they were thrilled, so happy, So and when we go by there, people will say they'll tell us. They'll say, we had people who were on your tour who were back again. So it's great. That's really the most rewarding thing. When I hear that people have gone back to the places we've taken them to, love it. The second best thing I love to hear is when in a review someone says, I didn't feel like I was on a tour. I felt like I was out with a friend who was showing me around their town. And that's why all of our guides are local. And that sort of brings us into our new PTL tour. PTL tour, we had requests for that for a while, even before I took over. But it didn't feel right, because PTL is such a special place. It's such an authentic, real place, that we didn't want to do anything that was a disservice to the people who live there or came across as disrespectful. I know that when tours first started to go there was an op-ed piece written a few years ago that essentially, I'll summarize it, that said, we are not animals at a zoo. Please stop coming here to gawk at us.
Really?
Yeah. So that's why it took us some time to really put the time in to say, how can we do this tour that's called Taco Lovers PTL in a respectful way? And although we had it, it wasn't quite right yet. And then our guide, Carla with a K, who, if anybody's listening and has taken a tour or has been around, knows Carla very well. She lives in PTL. And it changes the whole thing. It changes the whole dynamic. It changes the whole experience. It's not just us taking guests or visitors to PTL. It's someone who lives in that neighborhood, who goes to those places every day, taking them on that tour. So it's friendly faces, big smiles, hugs, all of those things. And that's what's important about the tours that we do, because authenticity really is a word that's thrown around a lot. But it is something that, brand stewardship is at the core of everything, my whole history, my career. If there's no reason for being, it isn't going to be. And it needs to meet those standards, because we often will have people, we have, retailers who will approach us and say, we see you go by it a lot. If you'd come in, we'll give your guides commission. I said, we are Vallarta Eats Food Tours. We do food tours, and that's what our brand is. We have to stick within those guardrails. Because if you start going out of those guardrails, you start to lose control over your brand. You start to lose credibility. So I've had many, especially, silver shops or tequila vendors who approach us that say, we'll give you a great deal. We'll give you a great commission. I said, it's not about commission for me. If I can't keep my business going on what the core of my business is, I have no right being in business. So I'm very, very strict when it comes to, holding tight to the brand and holding tight to the mission.
Your PTL tour, how many places do you visit?
So it's we visit 4 places for savory and then 1 for dessert. And it's a daytime tour. It's a 10:30 tour. And that tour is designed to be, and why it's only 4 stops is because it really is designed to give our guests a chance to meander and see the street vendors who are selling everything from, pocketbooks and socks to the risque lingerie that we see there.
Don't forget the lingerie street, boys and girls.
Yeah, to delicious mangoes.
Here we go.
Exactly. So that's what to expect on that tour. So, but we go to some, and that tour has the most diversity in the types of food that we get, although it sticks to the core, morning foods. You're going to get carnitas. You're going to get birria. You're actually, going to get the chance to get goat birria, which is, scarce. But everybody loves that. But then also we go to a place called Los Agaves. Los Agaves in PTL is, it's incredible spot. And we're also able to introduce our guests. There's a beer component to that tour, to Indio Agave beer. And it's something that we haven't had a single guest who has ever heard of it or ever had it and falls in love with it from that. And they're the type of experience, they're the type of opportunities that we want. We want people to go back and say, and then I had this beer. It's an agave spirit beer. They're like, oh, we've heard of Indio, but no, it's not Indio beer. It's Indio Agave, and it's great. And we could, and again, and because we have our guide who lives there, she can talk about so much beyond just the food itself. Yeah. She could talk about the owner. She could talk about, her connection personally to just the plaza. She knows all the events that happen there. So she can make those referrals and references and just makes it more special and more intimate. And like I said, before, I want people to walk away feeling as though they were out with a friend.
Right. So
and not on a school field trip.
Right. Exactly. So when you have a tour like that over in PTL, obviously you have them come out to PTL and you meet at a certain spot.
Yeah, we meet in front of the church. Church is a great spot to meet. There's a lot of history there especially about the interior of that church.
Yeah.
It itself could be a tour itself.
Right.
So it's a great meeting point. It's easy for people to find. It's right on the main bus route. Uber obviously will get you there because you're going to put the address, but any taxi driver will be able to say, Church of St. Miguel the Archangel, and they're going to be able to get you there. And it's a great point. Yeah. And it's a really great tour. That's a great immersive tour. Our Untouristed tour in Cinco de Diciembre is a great tour as well. And then, as we evolve and change and listen to what the market says and what the needs are and what the requests are. We discussed offline before the addition of next week, we're unveiling our boozy brunch.
let's
tour,
talk
which
about
is
that.
definitely, and again, that's going back to that demographic that I've been nurturing for the past, 30 years of my career. And it's great because it's a shorter tour. It's a more elevated, the places we go to are a little more elevated, but it's a cocktail tour. It's brunch. What we're doing, it's a progressive brunch. Instead of going to one place where you'd have brunch and mimosas.
Right.
And it's not strictly, although all the places are in Puerto Vallarta and Mexican owned establishments, the foods are not specifically. I mean, we do have eggs Benedict on that tour. We do go to Macarena, and we do have an option to get the deep fried tamal there. But you can also get berry pancakes there. But it's going to be a mimosa. It's going to be a margarita. It's going to be a frozen rosé cocktail, things along those lines. So it's for people who, might want to dip their toe into some of the culture. But really, again, going back to that, why do people come to Vallarta? It keeps them sort of in that initial, I came here to drink and sit on the beach. But this helps them sort of like get a little bit of culture in. So it doesn't feel like they're so far off of what their mission was here.
Right.
They're still getting some cultural immersion, but they're still getting those drinks in,
That's great. I love that boozy idea. That's very cute.
It's all about branding. We have boozy brunch. We have tipsy taco, those types
No
of things.
kidding. Okay, this is really great. Okay, so you were talking before we started, we pushed record, and you were talking about a girls' night out. It was kind of a bride's thing, or what was that?
Yes, we do a lot of bachelorette parties, and we get a lot of special requests, bachelorette parties. And we were doing, wait a minute, we're getting enough of these requests. Maybe we should just make it so that we're not doing these one-off custom. We'll take all the components of all these bachelorette parties that we've done in the past. We'll take we'll shine our stars. We'll take the best of everything that we've, all the data that we pulled from that, all the responses that we've had, and we'll come together and we'll do a tour that meets all of those needs. So this way, when someone says, I have 24 girlfriends and 2 boyfriends coming down, we want to go on a tour for a bachelorette party. We, of course, can always do, and we'll gladly do a custom tour for you. But this is a really nice turnkey, because what makes this great is and here they can just send them the link to Boozy Brunch and say, hey, everyone, do we want to do this? They can do it all on their own, and they don't, so it's all there simplified for them. And the response, the turnaround time, from a business side is shortened tremendously.
Exactly right. All right. So if people want to know about all the tours that you do,
yes,
Vallarta Eats.
VallartaEats.com.
And that's how you get there. You got like a pull down menu.
Yes, have a drop down menu. Everything has, the tiles on the front page of all of our tours, and even up in the left corner of all those tiles, it sort of has what the highlight is. Whether the highlight is the price, which oftentimes is, we have a $43 taco tour. You're not going to find that anywhere else. That's our classic taco classics. It's sort of a strip down of our signature taco tour. It doesn't go to the market. It's not that full cultural immersion, but some people aren't here for that. People are here. Some people are here for the food. Some people are here for the food and the culture. Some people are here for the culture. We have, a tour for every taste is what I say. So you should be able to find something, whether it's a street taco tour to even we do a tasting Vallarta, which is a progressive dinner tour, which we don't go near street food on that. We go to sit down restaurants, and there's that includes Gaby's, who we talked about, who does their tours, their cooking tours so well. Shout out to Gaby's and Cesar. It is an amazing product that they've built there, and I highly recommend
great
it.
Experience.
Their tour in itself. So we go to Gaby's in off season. We go to Bodegon de Pasta. Again, they're another one. We love Bruno and Alejandro, but they don't need us in high season. That place is packed with a line out the door. But June, July, August, September, they're part of our tour.
Very cool.
We also go to Mezcal and Sal on that tour, which is great because it enables us to talk a little bit more about, some Southern Mexican cuisine and the Oaxaca influence and things, and Pueblan influences there. And then we also go to, the classic. We go to River Cafe for a tableside bananas flambe and a carajillo, which is a great way to end the tour, And that's a tour designed for a very different demographic, people who would not ever try street food, because we have that, we know there's all different types of people who come to Vallarta, and that's a great tour as well. So yeah, so we have everything. Like I said, we have a tour for every taste.
Yeah, progressive dinners is such a great idea. How about somebody who's coming here on a cruise ship? What would they have to do?
They just go to our website. I mean, everything's there. We do have on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We do actually have an added tour because they're the biggest days for when the cruises arrive.
Okay.
We do have an 11:30 tour of our signature taco tour. So thanks for asking about that because,
So
and
you
that's
can get
again
them in and
market
out.
response.
They don't have to worry
so
about
this
getting back
way,
to the boat.
right? Because sometimes
Yep.
for a 10:30 tour, and we always have confusion. I don't know how in this day and age there is still this. We can't decide. Port time versus ship time.
Oh yeah, no, you're right
It's
about that.
the most so, and we would run into real serious problems, especially because now we don't change time zones.
Right.
So there are some times where we're 2 hours ahead of what the ship time is. So people are thinking, oh, we'll get there in plenty of time, and they were showing up an hour late for the tour itself.
Right, yeah.
So we decided, and again, responding to what the market is telling me and the data, we have an 11:30 tour on Tuesdays and Thursdays specifically. I mean, anyone can go on it, but that's to really accommodate. So if someone messages me and they say, we're coming in on, the Panorama, I'll say, you're going on an 11:30 tour. Trust me, you don't, because also part of being on vacation is to not have that anxiety.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. You get off the ship up at Puerto Magico, and then you're worried about, you can't tell. People don't know how far it is from Puerto Magico to the meeting point on the, Rio Quale
No,
and
they have
things
no
like that.
clue.
And because you don't want people coming to your tour who've been fighting in an Uber for 20 minutes about being late.
Yeah.
It's not a great
No,
way to start
bueno.
a tour. So I would rather than be there an hour early. And that's why we start that tour at the Mercado on the island. So even if they are even an hour early, they can meander. They can go to all the vendors there. There's something for them to do. And that's all by design, to have especially the cruise tours or that 11:30 tour meet there. So this way, in case they're early, they can do that.
Okay, so the 11:30 tour is the one for those cruisers.
I would recommend,
Keep
no
that
matter
in mind.
what tour whatever cruise you're coming in on, even if you think you can make a 10:30 tour, just again, to not have that
you don't
pressure.
You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To the
You're
11:30
coming all the way
tour
into
is
town.
great.
It's like 35 minutes sometimes to get all the way into here
Depending on,
from there.
taxi availability
Yeah.
and things like that. Yeah.
All right, very good. All right, well, let's go again. Let's talk again about how do we find you?
Yeah, I mean, Vallarta Eats. It's the best thing I could say. I mean, it's on our tote bags that you see all around town. But Vallarta Eats. Again, if I'm doing my job correctly, putting Vallarta Eats into Google search will get you to us.
Right to you.
If you put in Vallarta Eats and you do not get us, that's my problem.
That's a big issue.
That's me. That's all my fault, and that's my loss, and I will gladly accept that.
Just look funny at your computer because you're doing it right. All right. Well, I'm going to have all that information. Of course,
I
it'll be
appreciate
in the
it.
show notes. And what a great surprise to have you come to my meet and greet. And you're going to have an entire episode. So
It was
that's
great.
what you
I
get
love
for
it.
that.
No, I love it. I thank you for the opportunity. It's been great, and it's been great to hear everyone else's stories as well. So thank you for doing what you do, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Stephen. And once again, Vallarta Eats, www. All that stuff in the show notes. And thanks for what you do. And, promoting
Muchas
the
gracias, amigo.
locals
Sí,
and all
claro.
these people. I mean, this is the stuff that I really love.
Sí. Excelente. Gracias. Adiós.
All right. Thank you so much, Stephen. What a journey. Man, you were born to do this, amigo. I have information for Vallarta Eats Food Tours in the show notes. And as Stephen said, if he did his job right, just type in Vallarta Eats Food Tours into the Google, and behold, it will be there. And it is. I checked. I really did. Don't forget that we have a meetup coming on July 22nd at El Granero from 3 o'clock until 5 o'clock during their happy hour. And if you're in town, I hope to see you there. Maybe you can spill the beans for us. As you can see and as you can hear, our meetups have the best guests. They do. So join us. Maybe you can be one of them. And thanks for that. And, well, that should do it this week. Next week, stay tuned for more on-the-ground reports from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, with travel tips, great restaurant and excursion ideas, and more. But until then, remember that this is an interactive show where I depend on your questions and your suggestions about all things Puerto Vallarta. If you think of something that I should be talking about, please reach out to me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending us a message. Once again, if you like this podcast, please take the time and subscribe and follow, share with a lover of Puerto Vallarta, or give me a good review wherever or however you happen to be listening. That way we can get the word out to more and more people about the magic of this place, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Remember, I made it easy for you to do just that with each episode I create. But if you haven't been to my website, you really need to go there. I spend a lot of time on it. I have links to the places that we talk about. I have interesting pictures and more right there in the blog post and in the show notes for each episode of the show. So check them out for sure if you haven't already. All right? All right. Thank you to Edgar Rivas of Alma de Agave Tequila Tasting Experience for coming on and telling us your new tequila experience that you have there on the roof over at Gaby's Restaurant and Bar. You know what? That tequila was tasty, my friend. Look for his info in the show notes. And hey, thank you so much to Stephen Castrianni from Vallarta Eats Food Tours. 15 years of happy tourists eating their way through the streets of Puerto Vallarta. Check out his tours over at www.vallartaeats.com. And again, thanks to all of the friends who came to hang out with us over at El Granero. We appreciate you, and we're looking forward to seeing you again on the 22nd of July if you're in town. Thanks to all of you for listening all the way through this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. This is Barry Kessler signing off with a wish for y'all to just slow down, be kind, and live the Vallarta lifestyle. Nos vemos, amigos.
Samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de amor junto al mar. Solo camino eterno por la playa, me encuentro junto al río cuando todo está en calma. Pronto cae la noche, brillas Puerto Vallarta.